We all know Family Guy is packed with wild antics, but when the Griffin family turns their highly questionable behavior inward on each other, things get incredibly sus.
When did you get a souvenir of the Washington Monument?
Mom, get out!
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Today we are looking at the most sus Griffin family moments in Family Guy. Let's start the show. Starting off with Season 10, Episode 1, Lottery Fever. What happens when the patriarch of the family stumbles into an unimaginable amount of wealth? In Lottery Fever, Peter wins the state lottery and immediately lets the power go to his head, turning into an absolute menace who subjects his closest friends to demeaning and wildly painful tasks. The storyline kicks off with Peter asking Lois for a loan to fund his latest dream, opening a sushi restaurant purely so he can yell at customers as they walk through the door.
Irashaimase! Hajimemashite! Here comes our black guy!
Lois quickly shoots the idea down, reminding him that they are on a tight budget and low on cash. However, as she says this, Tom Tucker announces on the news that the latest state lottery jackpot is sitting at a massive $150 million.
There you go, Lois. That's the answer right there. We'll just win the lottery. In fact, I'm gonna go buy my winning ticket right now.
Knowing he has to spend money to make money, Peter takes out a second mortgage on the family's house to buy thousands upon thousands of lottery tickets.
Where did you get the money for all these?
Simple. I took out a second mortgage on a house.
What?
Peter, this is idiotic. Your odds of winning are like 100 million to 1.
Miraculously, his completely irresponsible gamble pays off when Brian actually finds the winning ticket in their massive pile.
Yes, we won the lottery! I'm getting a butler.
Sir?
All right, buttle my Buttle it!
Peter instantly quits his job, starts buying rounds for everyone at the local bar, and even buys a room full of gold coins to dive into like Scrooge McDuck.
We're not gonna go crazy spending our winnings, and we're not gonna let this money change us.
What are you talking about? This money is our ticket to the good life, starting now.
However, Peter's newfound wealth quickly turns him into a massive tyrant toward his friends. He initially helps Quagmire out with an investment loan and gives Joe some money to buy Bonnie a nice gift. But he then uses that generosity as leverage to treat them like his personal servants,
Because what I want to do is stay here, get drunk, and watch TV.
forcing the guys to do highly demeaning tasks, like pre-eating his meals to get to the good parts. Things cross a major line when he forces Joe and Quagmire to perform a synchronized dance for his amusement. While they are dancing, Peter pulls out a BB gun and starts firing at them, ultimately telling Joe to open his eye and striking him directly in the face with a projectile just for a quick laugh.
We don't need your money, and we don't need friends like you!
Yeah, we're out of here!
Fine, go on, I don't care. I don't need you. I got money.
Joe and Quagmire rightfully walk away from the deeply toxic friendship, leaving Peter all alone with his money. Peter returns home, rocking a golden tuxedo, and while Lois initially calls him out for losing touch with reality,
You know, I spoke to Bonnie this morning, and she said you haven't talked to Joe or Quagmire in 2 weeks.
Who cares? I don't need Quagmire, and I certainly don't need Joe.
she quickly caves the second he hands her a massive diamond ring. But because he is Peter Griffin, the family manages to blow through their entire multi-million-dollar fortune in less than a month.
Sir, about your bill.
Oh, don't worry, Carstairs. There's ample gratuity on there for you.
Well, actually, sir, your card has been declined.
Broke once again, Peter returns to the bar with his tail between his legs to beg his friends for forgiveness. Joe reveals that the eye Peter struck could not be saved.
I thought being rich would solve all my problems, but all it did was make me forget what was important. Like who my real friends are.
Leaving him with a glass eye. Yet the guys somehow still let Peter off the hook with zero real consequences. It is a terrifying display of how quickly a little bit of power can turn Peter into an absolute monster.
Quagmire, I don't know what to say. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up is Season 2, Episode 5, Love Thy Trophy. Teenagers will go to great lengths to afford the latest fashion trends, but Meg Griffin crosses a major legal and moral boundary when she uses her baby brother as a prop to scam people out of their money. In this episode, Meg lies about Stewie having a severe substance addiction just to boost her tip jar. The deeply uncomfortable situation begins at school, where Meg is relentlessly made fun of for carrying around a big, bulky purse.
I have no friends, and it's all because of this stupid purse.
What did you do to my daughter? I swear to God, if you touched her...
Desperate to fit in, she realizes she needs to get her hands on an incredibly expensive Prada bag. Looking to make some quick cash, she applies for a job as a waitress at a local diner.
I squandered my munitions budget on that insipid Rugrats video. Perhaps I should seek employment.
But is initially turned away for having absolutely no work experience. However, the restaurant owner completely mistakes Stewie for Meg's own baby. Instead of correcting him, Meg immediately realizes she can use this assumption to her advantage and leans right into the lie.
Yes. These are delectable. Flappy, good news. I've decided not to.
While working her shifts, Meg manipulates her customers by playing the role of a struggling, unwed teenage mother to pull in massive sympathy tips. But to take things to a truly sus extreme, she starts telling everyone in the diner that Stewie is suffering from a severe addiction to highly illicit street substances.
Welcome to Flappy's. Why don't you have a seat next to my little baby whose deadbeat dad doesn't pay child support?
Her terrible lie works a little too well, catching the attention of a local social worker who overhears the claim and immediately steps in. Believing Stewie is in actual danger, Child Protective Services legally removes the baby from the Griffin household and places him in a foster home. When her parents demand to know how she made enough money to buy her new luxury bag, Meg is forced to confess her wildly illegal ruse.
How in the world did you make $1,100 as a waitress in 1 week?
It's easy when you're the unwed teenage mother of a crack-addicted baby.
The Griffins attempt to break Stewie out of the foster home, but they inadvertently end up starting a massive toddler prison riot instead. In the end, the family only manages to get Stewie back when the foster mother spots Meg's $1,100 Prada bag and gracefully agrees to trade the baby for the designer purse. Meg gets away with zero consequences for a scam that teetered dangerously close to child endangerment, wrapping up one of the most selfish and questionable sibling moments in the show's history. Next up is Season 8, Episode 15, Brian Griffin's House of Pain. Accidents happen in every household, but the Griffins take covering them up to an entirely new, highly illegal level. In this episode, Chris and Meg accidentally cause Stewie to suffer a massive head injury, but Peter's attempt to fix the situation is arguably the worst parenting decision in television history. The deeply uncomfortable chaos starts when Chris sneaks into Meg's bedroom to snoop through her diary.
Dear Diary, still no sign of that tampon from last week, but the headaches are getting worse.
Meg catches him in the act, and their ensuing physical struggle spills out into the hallway, where they accidentally knock an oblivious Stewie straight down a flight of stairs. When they check on him, Stewie is completely unconscious with a severe and highly disturbing head wound.
You this is your fault!
My fault? You were the one chasing me!
You were the one reading my diary!
Terrified of getting into trouble, the siblings decide to cover up the severe medical emergency by throwing a cowboy hat on the baby and using terrible ventriloquism to pretend he is awake during family dinner.
Hey, how's the food, Stewie? Oi, blimey, it's a right delicious, I do declare, waka waka.
Eventually, Peter discovers exactly what the teens are hiding and asks how long Stewie has been unconscious. But instead of rushing his critically injured child to the emergency room, Peter actually praises Chris for not telling Lois, casually admitting that he used to knock his kids out all the time when they were babies.
When you were babies, I used to knock you kids out every month or so. Sometimes by accident, sometimes when the Patriots lost. You just gotta cover it up and eventually it all works out.
Peter happily takes over the cover-up, bringing Stewie downstairs with drawn-on eyes, a top hat, and a stick to move his arm to fool the rest of the town. However, when the trio finally takes a look at what they are dealing with, they realize the wound is getting worse by the minute, with Peter noting that he is smelling brain smell. Meg begs to finally take him to the hospital, but Peter panics and enacts a deeply horrifying backup plan to avoid taking the blame. He grabs his 1-year-old baby, rushes outside, and literally tosses Stewie directly under the tires of a moving vehicle to make it look like a tragic traffic accident.
Stewie! Oh God, what have I done?
Looks like you ran over him, Lois.
When Lois rushes over, her very first instinct is to try to cover it up as well by suggesting they buy Stewie a hat, which both shocks and weirdly fills Peter with admiration. Thankfully, they eventually agree to go to the hospital, and it is a miracle that Stewie survives the ordeal, waking up a full 8 months later in November with no memory of his father's completely unhinged cover-up.
Hey, I just found out it's November. What the f happened?
Next up is Season 13, Episode 12. Friendships can be complicated, but Stewie takes things to a highly unnatural extreme to save his fading bond with Brian. In this episode, Stewie uses sci-fi technology to undergo a bizarre medical procedure, crossing every boundary imaginable to trap his best friend. The wildly sus storyline kicks off with Stewie trying to convince Brian to go to Whole Foods with him to stock up on groceries for his new gluten-free diet. Brian has absolutely no interest in joining him, leaving Stewie to worry that he came across as a bit too desperate.
Just that Brian's been so distant lately, and we used to be inseparable, like Jack and Jill.
Trying to make a more compelling offer, Stewie suggests they spend time together watching Lois shush Peter while they watch the show Nashville, but Brian still shoots him down and leaves. As Stewie watches Brian drive away, he spots Joe and Bonnie happily playing with their daughter, Susie, which gives him the horribly misguided idea that having a baby together will permanently save his and Brian's relationship.
Babies save relationships.
Whoa, look at you, you're flying. Okay, thanks, Bonnie. Next I want to ride a bike.
Stewie initially tries to lure the dog into a fake tea party to discuss having a child, but Brian spends the entire time completely distracted by his phone.
I was thinking we should talk about having a... This isn't fun for me, watching you text.
No, this is great.
Since nature doesn't exactly allow for a dog and a toddler to reproduce, Stewie takes matters into his own hands. He secretly collects samples of Brian's hair and saliva, builds a highly advanced fertilization device, and actually manages to implant himself with Brian's DNA. When Stewie drops the bombshell news that they are expecting a child together, Brian is absolutely traumatized. He explains how massively messed up this is and begs Stewie to end the highly unnatural pregnancy.
We can't have a baby, Stewie.
Oh, right.
Stewie, you have to get rid of it.
Get rid of it? You know, why don't you just say it?
But Stewie fiercely refuses. Brian even briefly loses his cool and strikes him, but Stewie threatens him right back, forcing Brian to stick it out. As Stewie begins to show, he goes in for a checkup with Dr. Hartman, putting to rest the doctor's concerns about the highly questionable situation.
Your vagina seems to have a penis and 2 testicles.
Oh, right. I sneezed real hard and all that came out.
Ah, that explains it.
The two then go shopping for baby clothes and even take some tasteful prenatal photographs. However, the situation reaches peak absurdity when Stewie suddenly goes into labor while they are waiting in line for burgers. Unable to make it to the hospital, Stewie gives birth right in the front seat of Brian's car to a litter of horrifying mutated human-dog hybrids.
Careful, don't get anything on the seats.
The deformed creatures suffer from a myriad of terrifying genetic defects, including blindness, entirely missing bones, and even trying to eat one another, as the mutants begin to rapidly pass away, with one tragically failing to hear Joe's lawnmower.
I can't take this anymore, Stewie. I'm sorry, I gotta get out of here.
What? Where are you going? Stop doing that!
Brian finally sits Stewie down. He admits that he only wanted space because Stewie was acting moody, proving that all of this could have been easily solved with a simple conversation. The duo quietly drops the surviving mutants off at an animal shelter and agrees to never speak of this bizarre, boundary-crossing moment again.
I'm still keeping all the gifts from the baby shower.
You had a baby shower?
Oh! Now this makes it real!